What's up, guys? This is Red Wolf Pack 1, aka Fishing with Bama, and today we got a very special episode of fishing for you guys. I'm going to review two lures that cost the same price, or around the same price, and they're going to be very similar in style. And we're out here on Lake Guntersville, best lake in Alabama, to do our first lure versus lure challenge, so stay tuned. Alright guys, so the two lures we're going to be reviewing today are the Culprit 10-inch worm and the Zoom All Monster, which is a 10.5-inch worm. They're both curly tail worms. So like I said, we're reviewing lures that are similar in style. And to eliminate even more variables, I both got them in each company's June boat color. They're slightly different. The Zoom has a little bit bigger flake in them than the Culprit. It has a smaller flake. One's 10.5 inches, one's 10 inches. We're out here in Lake Guntersville. We're going to see which one does better. Stay tuned. Alright, our primary presentation today is the shaky head, 1/4 ounce, Yum Pumpkinhead jig. Right now I'm fishing all Zoom All Monsters because I already caught a fish on the Culprit. I'm trying to see if I can catch one on the All Monster. I've got it paired with 15-pound test Seagar fluorocarbon, which seemed to do well on that 5-pound fish with the way it had the drag set, which was pretty high. It stood up to the test. It's really tough. It's good and tough for fishing in this thick hydrilla. You need a tough line or a braid. Mono doesn't really do the trick. So, and then I got it on a 7 1-to-1 Abu Garcia Revo. I mean, not a Revo, an Aura SX, and a football skeet reefed football jig and big worm rod. First fish on the worm. It feels like a pretty good one too. Oh man, strip and drag.
Should we be getting the net?
Hopefully my line doesn't break this. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, look at that fish.
Oh my god, it's gigantic.
Alright, it was worth the wait. Oh my god. Oh my god. Gunner, oh, the hook just came out. Look at that, guys. That is on the Zoom All Monster on a pumpkin Yum Pumpkinhead.
It's huge.
Oh god. That is, okay, that is a nice fish right there. Another, oh, it's upside down. That is a Guntersville giant right there. Look at that. We'll get a weight on him. Okay, this scale's broken. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, that scale's broken. Alright, this is at least 18, I'd say 20 inches, and it said 3 pounds. Alright guys, so correction, I said this was the Zoom All Monster. This is actually the Culprit 10-inch worm. It's on the the Yum Pumpkinhead shaky head, which really stands up on the bottom well. I don't know how much of a difference it makes with this worm, just because it doesn't float and it's so long. I bet it's sort of just flopping around, but these long tails have awesome action. And this hook, what I like about this shaky head is that it has an oversized hook. Let me zoom in on this. It's got a really big hook compared to other shaky heads. I think this is like a 4/0 hook, which is gigantic for a shaky head. So you can fish with all sorts of big worms. So we'll see if I can catch a couple more fish on this. And then, since I caught them on this shaky head, I'm gonna put the Zoom All Monster on this, so that it's truly a lure versus lure rather than technique versus technique type of deal. So get back to more action. Second setup. I was flipping mats earlier. I got a 3/4 ounce tungsten screw and weight on a 4/0 flipping hook and a Zoom worm, 65-pound test braid, 7 foot 6 inch umbrella rig rod. I use it for flipping also, and it can handle 3/4 ounce easily because it says here 1.5 ounce to 4 ounces, so I'm actually fishing under what it's recommended for. Video time. Alright guys, so right now this grass is really thick. As you can see, there's some mats, and even in the places where the mats aren't reaching the surface, it's still a few feet of grass, like really thick hydrilla. This is hydrilla, by the way, and there's rock underneath the grass, so it's a good mixture to catch a bass. But so I'm just flipping, sort of punching / flipping these mats with a 3/4 ounce true tungsten screw-in weight, and I'm flipping this. This is the Zoom Old Monster, and actually it's despite it being so long and whatever, it's actually getting pretty well through those mats. I mean, you can see this mat right here. It's a pretty thick mat, and with only this 3/4 ounce weight, I can get through it. So, well, I actually haven't tried this one, but that mat over there I was able to get through, and that's a pretty good mat right there. So we'll see if it will make it through this. All right, so it made it through the thin part of it really nicely. Oh no, it didn't. Hold on. All right, there it goes. Now it made it through. I had to jiggle it a little. So yeah, pretty versatile bait. I mean, I know it's not made for flipping, but obviously I'm getting it through this thick hydrilla mat right here with a little bit of work, and only a 3/4 ounce weight, which really isn't too heavy. See if I can get it in that thicker stuff. That didn't go through. Let me try again. Well, I guess that's a little bit too thick for it, for 3/4 of an ounce, but still pretty good for these like smaller mats like that right there. And then last but not least, I got a Fluger Presidential 6:3:1 gear ratio, and I have this spooled up with 10-pound fluorocarbon. And this is my setup for this smaller worm right here. Let me take this off. I mean, smaller weighted worm. I got the 1/8 ounce weight, and I got a 4/0 wide gap hook, and I'm fishing it on a 6/8 medium extra fast Shimano Claris worm and jig rod. So that's my setup for right now, and we'll see if we can catch some more fish. On my second setup, I have the Zoom Old Monster rigged with this is 1/8 ounce tungsten. So it's light enough to where, I mean, it'll sink, but I'm mainly using it in like the sparser grass areas, and then also it's got enough weight to where I can cast it and then reel it subsurface or along the surface, which actually might help because the worm bite's gonna be pretty tough today. Got a lot of clouds, so it's gonna scatter the fish out. We already saw a few bass roaming. One waked up behind this worm when I was reeling it in, actually. So we'll see. Alright guys, this concludes this segment, this first ever segment of Lure versus Lure. In the end, the Culprit worm won over the Zoom Old Monster. Of course, there's always so many variables in fishing, but I have to say, I fished the Zoom Old Monster a considerable more amount of time than I did the Culprit worm. One difference between them, one of the few differences between them, is that the Culprit came with a little bit of scent, He actually had to rip open the package because it was sealed, I guess, to keep the scent in and moisture and stuff. And it doesn't really smell like much, but there is a scent to it, as opposed to the Zoom All Monster. This one right here doesn't really have a scent to it. Also, the Zoom All Monster is a little bit thicker, and it's half an inch longer, so it weighs a little more, which I enjoyed because it was easier to cast in the wind than the Culprit worm was. But let's see, we got out here at 8 o'clock. It's pretty late, but we had overcast, so it was fine. So I've been fishing 3 hours now. I'd say I fished the Culprit worm maybe 30 minutes, and then the Zoom All Monster like 2.5 hours. So I think clearly the Culprit worm is winning here today. And like I said, I think it's that scent. But like I said, it could be the color, it could be, I mean, today's not a good day for fishing these big worms. I mean, like with any big lure, you're not going to get a ton of bites on it, but those bites are going to be better. Like, for example, fishing a 10-inch worm we caught, the only fish we caught today so far has been a 5-pounder. So, I mean, if you're in a tournament situation, I mean, you don't even need to catch a limit as long as they're all 5-pounders to be in contention to win. So, I mean, overall, had fun fishing this. And make sure, if you have a suggestion for the next lure versus lure, here are the... you can suggest it, write a comment suggesting what 2 lures you want me to review, see which one's better. But the thing is that they need to be in similar price ranges. I'd say within like $1.50 or $1, as close as you can, get them together, and then they have to be similar style lures. Like today I fished 2 10-inch worms, big 10-inch curly tail worms. So like if you wanted me to review like a Zoom Speed Crawl versus like a Rage Crawl, we could do that. Or I mean, we can even do hard baits like Strike King Squarebill versus a Rapless Squarebill. Anything like that, just write it in the comments and we'll do it for the next segment. Thanks, and stay tuned for next episode.